So COVID cases are ticking up again in places like New York and Rhode Island. Infections are up 14% from 2 weeks ago nationwide, with more than 20 states and the District of Columbia reporting increases thanks to the subvariant of Omicron BA2, though not as high as it was back in January. The White House continues to tell us that as a country, we've arrived at a promising stage in the pandemic, thanks to the wide availability of vaccines and testing and new therapeutics. Joining us now, White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator, someone who is familiar to all of us, Dr. Ashish Jha. First, we haven't seen you since you've assumed this new role. There's no one better to get us through this phase of the pandemic than you. Congratulations. And what I wanted to ask you today is, where are we? And what indicators do you look at from there? What should we look at as at home?
Yeah. So, Nicole, first of all, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here. We are, first of all, in a much, much better place than we have been in this pandemic, right? We have more than 200 million Americans vaccinated, almost 100 million Americans boosted, and we have widespread availability of treatments that we got to keep plugging away on and getting more available for Americans. So that's the good news. Infection numbers are low. Hospitalizations right now at the lowest level of the pandemic. But we have BA2. We do see the variant now dominant. We do see cases going up. The big question is this going to lead to a lot more hospitalizations and deaths? I'm hopeful that it will not. But we're going to have to see, and we're going to have to take it seriously, and we're going to have to monitor this very closely, and we're going to have to be driven by data on what happens next.
What do you look for? I mean, what is the, because I think that what has set in for a lot of us is that this could be with us for a very long time.
Well, I think the virus is going to be with us for a very long time, probably forever. The question is, is the virus going to cause massive spikes? Is it going to cause our hospitals to get overwhelmed? All the things that we have seen over the last 2 years, we now have the ability to manage our way through it without those things. So what am I looking for? Obviously, we're looking at infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. We're looking at wastewater data. We're continuing to look at how we're doing on vaccinations and boosting, and are we getting those out there for folks? And then I'm also tracking very closely how well are we doing at getting therapies out to people. The president has done an extraordinary job of getting treatments available. Now we have to encourage doctors and Americans to go out and use these treatments. That will also drive down hospitalizations and deaths.
Something I've shared with you on and off TV has been the anxiety of parenting during COVID, sort of choosing between lesser evils. Keeping kids out of school was a terrible option, and worrying about what you didn't know about the pandemic before there were vaccines. There still isn't a vaccine for kids under 5. Is that coming?
Yeah, so this is, we've seen the data out of Moderna that they are now in the middle of submitting that data to the FDA. I'm hoping we're going to see data from Pfizer on their 3-dose series sometime in the next few weeks as well. Obviously, you have lots of friends who have kids under 5 who are very anxious to get their kids vaccinated. I'm anxious for them to get their kids under 5 vaccinated. Yeah. We want to see the data, make sure it's safe, make sure it's that it's effective. We'll know more, I think, in the upcoming weeks once that data becomes a bit more available.
So my viewers are vaccinated. They trust science. They're boosted if they've been told to boost. But there is an ongoing concern for themselves and their loved ones about long COVID. What do we know, and what are we throwing at that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So just last week, the administration launched a major new effort to study it, understand it, look at its impact on workers and on disability. There's a lot of work to be done on long COVID, and I think we are just getting started. We have a lot more to do. So that's sort of point number one. I think point number two is we've always got to take it seriously. Most of the evidence suggests if you're vaccinated and boosted and you have a breakthrough infection, you're much less likely to get long COVID. If you get it, it's much less likely to be severe. So long COVID, the most severe forms, tends to be in people who are unvaccinated, who don't have much in the way of immunologic training, and then can end up getting into trouble. One of the many, many reasons we want to get adults and kids vaccinated.